request to unfreeze Abacha's account in UK and Switzerland. On entertainment, comedian Dave Chappelle cancels shows after testing positive for coronavirus. And in sport, Victor Osimhen recovers from coronavirus. Details of these and more after this break. I am God's Love, Orlando. And now the news in details. The Edo State government says it has concluded plans to train teachers across the 18 local government areas of the state on coronavirus prevention protocol ahead of school resumption in the state. Permanent Secretary, Edo State Ministry of Health, Dr. Sanwo-Yi Irowa, disclosed this to journalists in Benin on Friday during a press briefing. Irowa reaffirmed the state government's commitment to curbing the spread of the virus across all communities of the state and protecting the people. It disclosed that the state government has interfaced with teachers in the state and has commenced testing of staff and students of federal schools ahead of schools reopening for academic activities. The managing director of the Edo State Traffic Control and Management Agency, ETSMA, Dennis Oloriegbe, says there will be restriction on the number of passengers in vehicles to a driver and one passenger in the front row, while two well-spaced passengers on other rows. Dennis Oloriegbe says tricycle drivers will have only himself sitting in the front row and two well-spaced passengers at the back seats. The ETSMA boss said this in a statement on Friday while advising residents to avoid non-essential movement and re-emphasizing the state government directive of no movement of persons between the hours of 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. except those on essential duties. He said transportation companies and operators in the state must ensure the provision of protective devices and items such as sanitizers and face masks for all passengers and members of staff. Elsewhere, the non-academic workers at Nigerian universities have announced plans to commence an indefinite strike on February the 5th, 2021. The Joint Action Committee, JAC, of Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions and Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities made this known in a press statement on Friday. The workers said the strike was necessitated by the federal government's failure to yield to their demands after a 3-day nationwide protest. The JAC had directed the branches of NASU and SANU to convene joint congresses on January 19th to take a resolution on the possible commencement of an indefinite strike over the non-implementation of the Memorandum of Understanding signed with the unions by the federal government last October. After the Congress, a majority of the branches voted that there should be a strike to press home their demands and other contentious issues such as inconsistencies in IPPIS payment, non-payment of earned allowances, non-payment of arrears of national minimum wage, delay in renegotiation of federal government, NASU and SANU 2009 agreement, non-payment of retired benefits of outgoing members. Coming up in a moment after the break, Supreme Court rejects request to unfreeze Abacha's account in UK, Switzerland, and others. Details in a moment.
At split seconds, there's a lot happening around us, but we can't be everywhere all the time. We've got work, families, and chores to cater to, and most importantly, time to rest. And that's why having a reliable partner like KUFM News is important. Sleeping? We don't. We work round the clock, bringing you stories as they break from Nigeria and across the world. We would stop at nothing to keep you informed, because KUFM News is all about you and stories that affect you. Politics, business, human interests, sports, entertainment, just name it. We've got you covered. KUFM News. Timely, precise, spot on.
Welcome back. It's still news done on 92.7 KUFM, and now to the rest of the news, where the Supreme Court has declined the request by a brother to the late head of state, Sani Abacha, Ali Abacha, to unfreeze the accounts traced to him and relatives of the late Abacha in the United Kingdom, Switzerland, Jersey, and Luxembourg. In a unanimous judgment on Friday, a 5-man panel of the court, led by Justice Sylvester Nguta, held that Ali Abacha's case was statute barred as at when it was commenced in April 2004 at the Federal High Court in Kaduna. The judgment was in the appeal filed by Ali Abacha, said to be a brother of the late General Sani Abacha. In the lead judgment prepared by Justice Kudirat Kekere Eko, both read on Friday by Justice Ejimbi Eko, the court held that having dismissed a similar appeal in an earlier judgment given in February last year, it has no reason to depart from its reasoning that case brought by Abba Mohammed Sani on behalf of the Abacha family. The court said it noticed that the appellant in this appeal is represented by R.O. Atabo Esquire, who incidentally was the appellant's counsel in the earlier appeal. Coming up in a moment on our Extra Voices, from frying pan to fire, the people of Ogbesun community in the Ikobauka local government area of Edo State have created more problems while searching for a solution to a gully erosion threatening to swallow their homes. Find out how as Extra Voices returns in a moment.
In the ever-revolving world of news, one story becomes extinct the moment another major story breaks.
Market women don't know whether they pay anything.
But with KUFM's Extra Voices, the story never dies. It just takes on a new life.
Market
there is no water in the house. The toilet is not good.
We don't have any fashion in APC.
We bring you new angles and fresh perspectives to every story, no matter how old or remote.
There are a lot of educated people that are involved in politics nowadays.
We go a little beyond the surface to get you those extra details ignored in the rush for the news.
Now bridge, now we take the entires now.
Some don't die for inside.
We go beyond the lines to bring extra voices, not just for those making the stories.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
But for those affected by the stories.
I've lost one bag of rice, documents.
So it's a real disaster.
With Extra Voices, we add new flavor to give fresh perspective and taste to an old story. Extra Voices airs every Wednesday and weekends on KUFM's major news bulletins.
Unimagined gullies threatening lives, properties, and physical growth of Ogbesu community in Ikuba Hill, Benin City, has become yet another source of discomfort. The gully, which surfaced in 2009 as a whole, have claimed lives and many houses and still counting. Worst still, the sites have become eyesore after the residents resorted to self-help by attempting to fill the gully with waste. Now, they can't stand the offensive smell emanating from the site.
The gully sites are a few kilometers from the recently reclaimed Queen Ede gullies, less than 7 kilometers away from the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) Benin Depot. The gullies have consumed parts of Edionwa Street in Ogbeson quarters near the city center, surrounded by residential houses, bakery, and a new generation church. Residents say if attention is not urgently taken, they may be consumed like others. The residents, led by the Ojonwe of the area, by Joseph Otahin, said the gully sprang up as a result of flood diverted to the area.
This erosion area here, since 2009, I didn't start. With the battle, we even do construction of a gutter. My name is Paul Isikwame. I'm a landlord here. I packed in since 2002, and the area was so good for us. And I preferred that tend to be a GROA, but it's now a GFA, government forgotten area.
My name is Miss Odegwa Maria. If erosion from another area, they come, they pass my compound. If you read before, I know they see where put leg. Because of no husband, no money, now make mistake.
Members of the church are living en masse for fear of imminent collapse.
Some of the members have been leaving us, they are afraid.
Though they claim to have written some relevant authorities to help them cushion the natural disaster, but to no avail.
Our Nogi of Ogbesun have written to government several times. They even came here to look into, but as they condense the end, you cannot see the reply.
The residents, however, resorted to self-help a few years ago when the situation of the gully degenerated.
We suggested that refuse should be dumped here as a palliative measure, which they started 2 years ago, and yet it has not been able to solve our problem.
Now, they are not only battling with the gully, but the offensive odor that emanates from the gully.
Night, I can't come and take breeze because of the smell.
Even we up there, the odor also reach there. Smelling is too much.
A manager of a bakery which is few meters from the gully side, Olabode Yusuf, said the gully and the filthy environment is crumbling his business.
Even the customer are no longer coming because they feel the odor of the refuse are worrying us. Even now that too advise that I should pack away from the area. But I have no money to build a bakery now. That's why I'm still managing the place with little one that I can do.
Extra voices gathered that the burden brought by the gully is a challenge the residents cannot bear for too long. They are calling on government at all levels to quickly come to their rescue.
The houses there now is almost scheduled. The landlord down there, they are already packed. So we beg the government, the state government, or local government, or federal government to come and help us through this area. Past this one, many of us will talk to tenants.
A director in charge of erosion and flood control, Ministry of Environment, Edo State, George Iguagbo, asked the community to formally write them. He said their case was worsened following the dumping of refuse at the gully.
So first of all, evacuate those waste from there before they now start claiming the place as a gully. When they put up their write-up, I have one. The phone numbers are there. We will invite them and hear from them.
In a telephone chat, the general manager at Edo State Waste Management Board, Charles Imariabe, said the board was not aware of the refuse disposal at the gully. He said concerned individuals have been summoned following the notification by extra voices. Now, urgent steps must be taken by relevant authorities to avert outbreak of diseases in the community as a result of the bad smell that emanates from the gully. For KUFM's Extra Voices, Nusahai Uwadia.
Now to some entertainment stories where American comedian Dave has tested positive for the dreaded coronavirus. The COVID-19 diagnosis caused Dave to cancel his remaining 4 shows in Austin, Texas, 2 of which were to include Joe Rogan. This is not the first time the comedian will be canceling his shows. Recall, in September 2020, Dave had to cancel some of his shows after one of the recurring performers on the bill was believed to have contracted the virus. And that's it on entertainment. And now in sports, where Victor Osimhen recovers from coronavirus. Details in a moment. And now talking sports, where Italian Serie A club Napoli have announced Nigerian striker Victor Osimhen has recovered from coronavirus. The 22-year-old is also expected to start individual training on Saturday following a shoulder injury. The former Lille forward tested positive for COVID-19 upon his return from Christmas holiday. Napoli confirmed on their Twitter handle that he received a negative result from the last swab test. Osimhen dislocated his shoulder while on international duty with Nigeria on November 2020. He has not played for Napoli since he scored the winning goal against Bologna on November 8, 2020. The Edo State-born hitman has scored twice in 8 league appearances for the Partenope this season. And that's it on Sport News. And that's the news, but before we go, let's take a quick recap of the headlines. On the news this morning, we told you that the Edo State government will begin training for teachers on COVID-19 ahead of school resumptions. And also, varsity workers will begin indefinite strike on the 5th of February 2021. And finally, on News Dawn, Supreme Court rejects request to unfreeze Abacha's account in UK and Switzerland. Please do remember that to continue the unity of Nigeria is a collective responsibility. Be sure to play your part. Do not forget, you can listen to us anywhere in the world, either by visiting our website at www.kufm.net or download our mobile app from the Google Play Store, or listen to us on radiogarden.com. For visual purposes, you can join us live on YouTube at KUFM Nigeria. KUFM's News Dawn was produced by Nusahai Oadiai. I am God's Love.